pricing, wow, what a surprise. How to differentiate ourselves from the competition, how to get more and better referrals, I guess, because a lot of them are getting referrals but they're not closing them, and of course leads. By the way, you're basically probably just wasting a lot of your money and time. Sales is all about us influencing the client, not manipulating, influencing the client in the most positive way so that we can speed up the process, close the deal on a high quality, high enough bar of revenue that's also providing even more quality to the client so you can keep a good enough long-term relationship and keep the business going. You have a manager that's complaining about the industry or the pricing or the competition. The industry, the pricing or the competition, 99% chance this guy should not be in the team. If you have a leader that's complaining about that and you're not getting any, I know it affects the business, but me complaining about something that, let's say, the European Union is putting out, how is that even going to make my business more successful? I understand the situation. There's no need for you, Mr. Manager, to keep repeating it 1 day, 2 days, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. I get it. We spoke about it in a couple of meetings. Let's move on. Hello there everybody and welcome back to the Focus Rage channel. I'm happy to see you all here, and today we're going to be talking about some of my observations coming from companies I'm speaking with currently. Basically newcomers that for some reason or another have really similar questions, really similar challenges in their industries. And my idea with this video is just to give out the most generalized fixes and solutions that I know of. Because in the majority of cases, we do meetings that are, let's say, 60 minutes. We go first meeting online, we see each other, maybe even face to face in the office, it depends where they are. And even 60 minutes is not enough. However, I also know that it's definite that I definitely don't have the time to contact every single company in the world and to work with them. So this video is kind of just out there to start off some ideas in your head that if you're interested enough to fix those issues in your company, I'm sure you're gonna make your own research into it additionally, or maybe just contact me and see how much we can do in detail. Now, the industries that my information is coming from are my favorite: solar, IT, SaaS platforms, which is kind of it's pretty self-explanatory. I've written some here: HR agencies as well, software development, outsourcing, and cybersecurity. Each one of those at first glance sounds really different, and it is, but from a sales perspective and business development perspective, actually all of you guys are asking me the same things when we talk. And the main issues that I hear, in short, are always pricing. Wow, what a surprise. How to differentiate ourselves from the competition. I've written some others here. How to get more and better referrals, I guess, because a lot of them are getting referrals but they're not closing them. And of course, leads. I know that, again, I said the video is going to be quite generalized, but stick to the end because I'm going to give you some really good information, mainly about your perspective. I see that there's, the main issue with a lot of companies is that the owners or the leaders, the managers of the teams have such a twisted perspective on where they are and what the situation is that it's pretty much impossible to fix the situation. And if you cannot think straight, or you cannot see outright and transparently what's going on, I mean, how can you really address the issue? So for us to really be able to stand out in this whole book of other companies, let's say you're in solar or IT and you want to stand out with your service and whatever you're doing, you can be a distributor, reseller, installer, or anything else, service provider. You cannot just look at the business from a strategic standpoint, because when I speak with the companies, we do from A to Z, from sales strategies to consulting, coaching, to marketing, to building funnels, data, platforms, AI, whatever you want to go into. It kind of really depends on the situation. We don't just, there's no like blueprint that works for everybody. However, that's what, for some reason, those owners are looking for. Especially the first 5 minutes, when you start getting some questions, first 5 to 10 minutes, and you see that they are just picking to hear if you have some kind of a magic wand to fix the issues that I said, that's the moment you kind of realize that you're probably gonna have difficulties working with this company. Because I mean, look, the first thing that you need to realize is pricing, competition, getting good enough referrals, and getting high quality leads. Like the moment you realize that this is always going to be there as a problem is, you know, the first step to growth. I know it sounds pretty obvious, and everybody would think, "Whoa, yeah, kind of," but are you really thinking that way? And is everybody really understanding that? Because whenever you're improving your strategy, the whole idea is to move it up with, like, let's say instead of 2 out of 10 deals you're closing, you know, 20%, move it up with another 3 or 4%, 5%, hopefully maybe 10%. I don't know, right? Because it also depends on how big your deal is. Maybe your service is making 10,000 euro on a profit, another guy is 1 million, kind of depends. But the whole idea is you're improving and expanding and always staying flexible. The second you stop improving and the second you stop working with people that can give you a brand new idea is the second that your business stops dying. I know that also from first hand. Everybody should know that, and they should definitely learn, because otherwise you're just going to be in a pretty vicious circle. Why am I saying this? When you understand this is basically what you're going to be working with always, for us to fix those issues, again, pricing, competition differences, leads and referrals, and maybe a couple others. I know that there's others. We need to go back to the start. And we are sales. Like we're a sales department, let's say, with you. So, we're focused only on that. Hence, that start, that foundation is going to be the people. It is going to be the people, nothing else. So, who are the people that you hired? That's the first thing. Because depending on what kind of people you've hired and who's leading them and how much they allow the other person to lead them, that's basically going to determine every single step of the strategies that you might figure out or somebody else might bring you. Like anything else new that you want to implement is going to depend on that. So in the majority of cases, the issue is not even the strategy or the new marketing that you're putting out. You're basically, by the way, you're basically probably just wasting a lot of your money and time. You know, so in the majority of these companies I'm talking about, my clients, my partners, and companies that are not my clients that I've also spoken with, for whatever reason, the majority of, and that's a lot of majorities, I know, the bulk of teams basically stems from 35 to 55-year-old tech leads, which is nothing bad. Actually, those people are super crucial, super important, and should be in every single company. However, are they the best people suited for sales? Now, I probably should have said this in the beginning of the video, but this video, I'm going to say it now, will be relevant. I've made a quick note here because I knew I was going to forget about it, and for some reason I just saw it. This video will be relevant only to the following leaders or companies. One, you're a company that is looking to grow in the long run, not just hire somebody for 3 or 4 months to test the waters and maybe spare some cash and, you know, just half-ass it. Two, you're looking to build a team with a healthy work culture that is basically growing off of the basis of studying and learning, not just, you know, going off of the mentality that I'm Magic Mike, Mr. Knows It All. Three, and you're also a person or a leader that cares about other people and doesn't just see them as workers or even worse as an expense. Basically, anything that you might be doing with your sales team, in short, what I'm trying to say is, if you see it as an expense, because these are real people with real emotions that are after that going to get affected when they're talking with the client, especially if they're talking about bigger money. If you're a person that just sees them as an expense and not an investment, and that you have to actually basically nurture them, it's still not going to work. So if you have those 3 points, continue watching. If you don't, good luck to you. You know, I hope that the business succeeds in somehow. Now, let's get back to the topic. Hiring of people. Sales is a really stressful job. It requires a lot of charisma. It requires a lot of open-mindedness. It actually requires dedication and commitment. For sure. Even right now, when there's a lot of AI for communication coming into the sectors, any type of industry is going to have that. That's mainly going to be used for customer service, maybe qualifying initial engagements like phone calls, setting up appointments with clients. But main negotiations and relationship building is always going to be through people. And actually, in this case, it's going to be through top performers. If you don't have top performers, your competition is going to kill you even more in the upcoming years. So when you take that into account, you need to understand that a person that would have commitment to your company and would be motivated to grow and to test out new waters, new ways to sell and engage with clients is a person that you have something to give to. Let me repeat that. A person that would be the most committed to your company and to your clients and would not have prejudice or would have lesser chance of getting negative, demotivating themselves is a person that considers your company as a company that has something to give them. If you're hiring a sales guy that's a burnt out sales manager and now he wants to be a representative or a director or even ex-CEO of company or whatever, first of all, why doesn't, like, what happened with his past? I get he has an amazing CV. Why is he not still in that position or in that company? But the second thing is, even if that's put aside, again, those people are really good. I understand that, but it's difficult with all of their expertise to build a bond that basically helps them understand that they're getting something that's improving their life. They already have a family, they have money saved up, they have more than enough experience in the fields, they have their own monotone way of working throughout the day. They've been doing that for 10 years or more. It's almost impossible to teach them anything new, and it's almost impossible to, at that age usually, and by the way, I know there's exceptions, I'm not talking about the exceptions. It's almost impossible to basically make those guys think, or girls think, that this is not a job. Because at the end of the day, actually, top performers don't take sales as a job. Like, I'm a top performer, another guy would be a top performer, she here would be a top performer. And the point is that we would always take our pipeline as our business. I know that this is your company, basically, you're my CEO, you're my manager, but my pipeline, my CRM, this is my business. And I know that you're here to help me, and I want to do it for you because also you're paying me really good, let's say, commission. I'm building strong relationships. I'm growing. I feel that my life is moving, right? That's your top performer. For them, it's not just a job. Risking on the hiring phase, getting 35, 40, 50-year-old guys, especially with the technical background, because you don't have the time or resources to teach them the product. It's one of the highest, I would say, financial and time-consuming losses a company goes through. I understand, again, it's because there's not a lot of people that can train them. There's not a lot of people that can invest the money and time into going through product knowledge and everything. I get that. But if you are building, and as I said, those 3 points, a strong sales team, you need a younger person that is business oriented, that takes his pipeline as his own business, and then you can get a technical lead, technical support to help him in his deals. So that's kind of your foundation. And by the way, yeah, like, get those hires maybe with maximum 2 to 4 years experience in sales, not less, not more. That's optimal. So that, hopefully also your leader is somebody that is able to teach them. If they cannot teach them, for sure get a good sales trainer or coach like me to come in, go through a whole session with them, even if it's one or whatever, or anybody else. There's a lot of good coaches and trainers out there, and there's even more that are bad. And this should never stop you from testing them and using them. You need to engage with as many people as possible that have contact with your industry and other companies from it, including even other industries. Because this knowledge and this know-how, even if, in some cases, worst case scenario, it's a bad coach, at least you're going to see what you should not do, right? But just the fact that you're able to invest like that and you're taking that risk, I guarantee you that in the long run, you're going to be making a lot more success than your competition. Now, that's about the hiring. There's, by the way, a couple of other points. Maybe I should make a whole separate video. I have one about that's more general about the whole sales team. But really, stick up until the end of the video, and I'll give you also a couple of quick tips on how to hire the. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna say it now. You can go to this email here, george.ivanov@metanize.net. You can find it in the description as well. Just message me, say, hi, George, can I get the PDF? I'm going to send you a PDF. I'm not even marketing. I don't need your phone. I don't even need your name. Just write down ABC owner. Send me that question. I'm going to send you back a PDF with a whole hiring process with the best questions to ask on the first, the second, and the third interview. Additionally, with maybe some tests that you can do, but don't rush into that. And that's like basically the most simple way to go through this whole ordeal, I would say, for free. If you like the questions and you like what you see in the PDF, maybe you can ask me more questions via email or via phone. It depends on you, but I'm sure this is going to help you, because in many cases HRs do that, and it's much more important, in my opinion, for you to get this knowledge from a sales leader and not so much from an HR. HRs are amazing, but for a sales department, you need to be working with a sales leader to hire somebody. At the end of the day, guys, by the way, sales is all about us influencing the client, not manipulating, influencing the client in the most positive way so that we can speed up the process, close the deal on a high quality, high enough bar of revenue that's also providing even more quality to the client, so you can keep a good enough long-term relationship and keep the business going. It's not to send a quote. It's not to send pricing. It's not to send offer. It's not to send the cheapest price. It's not to call him whenever he wants. It's not to send him an email. Those are all things that I can make, secretary do. It's fine. But that's not the whole idea of you having a sales department. Do you even understand, by the way, how many people hire sales departments based on this perspective, and they are paying sales salaries and sales commissions to people that are sending quotes and offers and emails, not doing any follow-up, not doing any influencing, not doing any high enough quality customer service? They haven't even seen it, by the way. So, second point, the sales knowledge. I actually kind of mentioned it. I do not see any absolutely any reason in a new person, team leader, or anybody in sales, again, sales department. I do not see any reason for them to go through a product training without you understanding what kind of a mindset they have and how they react under pressure. Because the second you give this guy product knowledge, especially big enough technical PDF product knowledge, and the clients on the other side starts complaining about the price or delivery or something else, because they don't have sales experience or training, they back off into the product, and then they start defending themselves on the price with the benefits or the features of your product and service. And I guarantee you, and I'm sure you know that, you have just lost a deal. Maybe it's $1,000, maybe it's 10,000, 100,000, 10 million, I have no idea. But you have just lost a deal. If the client, for whatever insane reason, decides to buy, while the representative defends the price with benefits on the product, not benefits, but features, pardon, right, with technical knowledge, it was the choice of the client. And he probably already decided to do something like that, and maybe he even undermined the price even more. But I'm sure this doesn't happen all that often with you. So unless you're 100% sure that you have a killer team, yes, they need to have product knowledge and they need to know the service. But it's much more important for them to have industry knowledge of the clients that they are targeting, the main issues and money and time lost of whatever you're solving, because you should be solving a problem. Just like I know, for instance, each one of those industries, like the companies that are coming and usually speaking with me, I usually know how much money they lose just by even talking for about 5 or 10 minutes. Of course, I don't sit on that opinion. I usually change that if we start working together, but I'm pretty close to the truth in the majority of cases. Now, for you to actually get such a person and to go through such a, I would say, to build such a culture then you should probably look at your leadership. Maybe you're the owner and you're dealing directly with the sales department, or maybe you're the sales manager and you're responsible for it. And I guess, you know, you want to prove yourself, but also you want to go and have a nice snack at 6 p.m. and not stay in the office. You know, it kind of really depends on what kind of a person you are. But the main idea would be for you to either self-educate, which I strongly recommend. I think actually self-educating for a leader, like a sales manager, would build probably even more confidence in some people than, let's say, working with a consultant or somebody like me. And I fully respect that, and I hope that more than enough people do it, because I mean that I think that kind of builds self-respect. If you're a leader and you're looking on your own way to kind of grow and adjust new things, I mean, I guess you have an original mind and you care about the team and the company. Bravo! Like, just please keep doing that. I'm sure you're gonna hit a good spot. Now, however, if you're working with a sales manager that has maybe rejected one, fine, two, fine, three, fine, four, five new strategies. He keeps complaining. This is not right. That's not right. And also, by the way, big red flag. You have a manager that's complaining about the industry or the pricing or the competition. The industry, the pricing, or the competition. 99% chance this guy should not be in the team. This is like every single business in the world has that. Not now, not last year, since any industry has begun working, since the industrial revolution, let's say. Every single business usually has issues, even with, let's say, if we take solar regulations, laws, subsidies, whatever else. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's really bad. If you have a leader that's complaining about that and you're not getting any, I know it affects the business, but me complaining about something that, let's say, the European Union is putting out, how is that even going to make my business more successful? I understand the situation. There's no need for you, Mr. Manager, to keep repeating it 1 day, 2 days, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. I get it. We spoke about it in a couple of meetings. Let's move on. So if you have a guy like this, I mean, I know you've probably worked with them for a long time, but either change together with our company because it's affecting your family and my family and our employees' families, or find something else. Now, the cultural fit. There's a lot of, usually corporations use this word, cultural fit. Cultural fit. So, like, how do you define that? I fit in the culture. I think that it's more so it should be called kind of leading by example and seeing if the people want to be led. You know, so again, this comes to the leadership. I think that one of the best ways to build bonding and loyalty and high enough results is for your leaders to be able to do exactly the same thing and even much better than the representatives. If they cannot do that, there are leaders like this that are still good and they are open in communication to the people, so they motivate the people and then the people do it. But it's never going to be as good as a leader that is able to do the same or even better communication with clients, closing of deals, relationship building, and all of the rest. So, you know, as you can see, by the way, I'm moving through every topic kind of based on the relevant experience of the person, and how open they are to changing and improving, and how stimulated they would be even internally, not with you. Because if you have to, by the way, motivate me to grow, I don't think it's going to work. So the fourth one, which is crucial for us to be able to move on to real fixes. I'm just going to repeat everything up until here. The first one is hiring proper people. Obviously, if this is a company, let's say you're a company that's already on the market 2, 3, 4, 10 years, yeah, you're not going to go and switch your team, but you need to know that this was the optimal way to fix those solutions. You know, step one, having the correct people. Age, experience, focus, mindset. Those are called trainable representatives. The others that I mentioned are usually not trainable. Maybe trainable on, like, they would remember and use 10% out of everything that somebody would give them. The second one would be sales knowledge, not product knowledge. And of course, having a technical lead to help with the technical knowledge. And by the way, I'll give you an example. We had colleagues that worked with Microsoft. We worked with other huge names, let's say Rockwell. And with those teams, in the majority of cases, there was kind of like a setup to negotiate deals because those are huge enterprises, and they were working especially in the manufacturing sector, and there was a 60-40 rule. 60-40 rule, maybe some of you know it. It would basically mean that, let's say we have 8 sales reps working in a specific region, and we have a couple of tech representatives, like the technical knowledge guys. The first 60% of the negotiations with the clients would be handled by the sales guy and the tech lead. And there's a really strict rules that are implemented in a nice way, not like a dictatorship, where the salesperson would still be leading the conversation. The tech support would engage only whenever there is a question for him. If the client starts negotiating the price for whatever reason, or asking about the price towards the the tech support, the salesperson should be trained enough, good enough in his job, to professionally, nicely, and politely redirect the conversation towards himself, and in a more, I would say, business setting. So, and the tech person should know that, and he should respect it. I've worked with guys like this in software development who are amazing. Shout out to Jenko. Really great guys, super smart, respectable. They know that they're here. They're with all the technicalities and details. That's them. He's the smart guy. I'm the talker. Okay, cool. And the listener. So after that 60%, where we already kind of, I guess, estimate the features that are needed, the time frame, everything, let's say even if you're installing something, then the tech support would move out of the deal, and the rest 40% of the communication, and this is again kind of generalized, but that's how it's called, 60-40. The rest 40%, which is kind of pricing, time frame, duration, terms and conditions, would be only between the sales guy and the client. No follow-ups on the tech support, no follow-up whenever the client wants, like full transparent communication, respectable, building a good relationship, trying to bond whatever you can. Don't overbond. By the way, today I had a really interesting case. I was explaining, obviously how important it is to bond with clients. Everybody knows that. And, the person on the other side did explain that, whoa, I was going left and right with this one big client every single weekend down to 3 a.m., this and this and that. I get that. And he basically explained that it didn't work and they didn't buy. Yeah, well, I mean, no shit. I don't know if I should bleep that. I probably won't. But whenever you overbond with a client before they are a client, because look, they are not a client. They haven't paid you. You haven't started working together. Whenever you overbond with the clients, on one side, fair enough. Okay, so you like each other. On the other side, you have just given them all the keys to the car. Because now, if you want to place any urgency on the table, speed up the sales cycle, close it, maybe if needed, increase the price for higher quality on something, that guy just has to say, hey, George, we're buddies, man. Why are you doing this? Like, why are you pushing me? This sounds really strange. It's yesterday we were drinking out, now you're right. So now, like, when you overbond, you're giving a lot of leverage to the clients. I don't mean, that's fine. You can be buddies, but we're all professionals. If you want to be a top performer and you want to be the one main guy in your company that's bringing all the revenue, and you obviously would have an amazing life as well, because sales is really high paid, hopefully, in your company with commissions and bonuses. Like, you need to really fine tune where you're bonding and where you're professional and how you close. At the end of the day, as I said, we're here working for the client. And if you have a good solution service product that is fixing a real problem for the client, company, or individual on the other side, and you do not close them, it's your fault that they are sitting with that problem. It's your fault. You are not doing them a favor by not closing them. You're not, because no client is gonna sit on his desk and wait to give you money. And them, just like me, if I'm a client, I'm gonna think the same. The client would always adjust and recalculate and rethink all the risks that he's receiving for the money, because there's always a risk in some case or another, or like he would question the quality because he's still not working together with you and all of those things. So for you to not start working with the clients, either he's going to remain with the problem or he might go to your competition that probably has a worse solution. So now this client is giving money for something that's much worse than what you're giving. Basically, overbonding and befriending too much before he's a client, before they are a client, is not good for the client. It is not. It's not. So the fourth one, as I said, culture. I'm not going to go into this, but if you don't have a strong teamwork ethic in the team, in between what the people are doing, and they are not holding each other accountable and they're not stimulating each other in a nice way, almost none of this is going to be sustainable. The easiest way to sustain a sales team is to have really strong culture of teamwork for them to chase and, hopefully nicely compete between each other and help each other with clients, which basically leads us to one of the best things that you can do that companies usually do by skipping all of the other points, which is data tracking and feedback, or in some bad companies, criticizing the reps. The problem with everything that I explained up until here is that the company would slowly but surely, in a span of 1, 2, 3, 5 years, get into a point where either they have a much slower growth than before, which, by the way, if you're a big enough company, that's normal. Don't go crazy on this. Or they wouldn't have any results, or maybe they would backtrack, which then is bad. Then that's bad. And now, because the company hasn't done good enough tracking, for instance, we implement, as I said, platform systems, AI that is tracking sales process and quality. If you're a company that hasn't done that for some time, you don't have historical data, not accurate one at least. You don't have the numbers in front of you of what the people have been doing up until now. And all you're left with is your opinion as an owner or a manager towards your representative, who also, same as you, is stressed that he's not making money. It's not just you. They're also stressed that they're not making money. And I know you would probably think, yeah, I know. But at the end of the day, you might have some negative communication with them, some negative conversations. The reason for this is that when you don't have this proper data tracking, you cannot pinpoint the problem and just take your team as a partner and support them and say, okay, this and this and that is missing, ABC. I see that the follow-ups have been, they've dropped down by 60%. I see that on the phone calls, there's not enough questions about referrals. By the way, I see that for whatever reason, there's not enough qualification. I want to help you out here. I want to help you out. Let me call a couple of clients together with you. Let me join on these meetings. Let me go here. Let me go there. You wouldn't know that. You would just assume, okay, I guess you're bad. We need to call more clients. You need to get more leads. Please go and call them. That guy rejected you. Call him again and beg him for money. It doesn't work out. That's really negative and really stressful for the team. And the problem is that for the team, what's happening is they see one side of the coin of the problem, and that's what's fair to them. And you, as the leader, see the other side. Now, it's the same coin, same problem, but you're looking at totally different sides, and to the reps, they feel, think, and see that you're attacking them. In your eyes, what you're doing is you see that the reps, or you think at least that the reps are ignoring you or disrespecting you or that they're lazy. This is the problem. I have some notes here, obviously. This is the problem. The tracking and the fact that you cannot prove, with accurate numbers, with I forgot like a real detective, let's say, right? The case of the issue. But for the people to respect this data, you need to have those three: properly hired people, sales knowledge, actual process, with the culture and with the leadership. Now, wow, I actually thought that this video is going to be 4 minutes. I'm sorry. I have no idea who's even watching. But by the way, I'm sure that if one person is watching up until here, for sure, you would probably start thinking on some fundamental change management, in the company. Because, yeah, if you're up until here, I know I hit the spot and you're a person that cares about this topic. Hopefully you don't have all of those issues. But now I can basically move back up here and talk about the pricing and the competition and everything else. So we have all of those things figured out. Hired the proper people, got the sales knowledge and training intact. We do that, let's say, weekly. We have the culture, teamwork. We have competitive, charts. We have, engagement with internal engagement between the people, and we have data tracking and feedback. Feedback, not criticizing. Nicely done feedback where I can go and do it together with the rep if I think that they need my support. With all of those things, now we can start improving how we negotiate pricing. If you see, I tried to be really quick and as transparent as possible in a short duration, and it still took me 35 minutes to explain what's the proper situation for you to start thinking about a strategy that allows you to either fight for your pricing if it's higher, or kind of negotiate lower one without being too cheap, because that's also not going to work, right? So the pricing. The problem with the pricing is, first of all, that the person on the other side, the representative, and that's why you have those 4 points, needs to be able to build a good enough credibility and respect with the client. So it's not just like bonding or friendship, credibility for the company and mutual respect as a person. Because this owner of a house or a business, at the end of the day, he has to give me money. However I sound, if I don't have those two things, he would probably consider me as a good enough information provider, but he would go and get it from another company. So what's the perspective of a client when they're looking at money? Even if you're, by the way, reselling products and distributing stuff, it's expense. It's losing something. That's the problem. You're a client as well. I'm a client when I buy something. If the product is not described properly and I'm not out of my head hyped to buy it, I start considering how much I am losing today by paying you and what I've done with that money. So if you're a company, let's just take those two things. If you're a company that is okay with negotiating, undermining the price, going down below, going go there, that's not really my style, by the way. That's not my style. Do whatever you want, test whatever you want. Probably you're just reducing the quality, or probably you're like hell of an overpriced service. And, the clients know that. I don't support any of those. And I think that even if the price is high, the quality should be higher of what you're providing, and you should retain your price or provide something on top. That's the best way to work with clients, and that's, by the way, the best way to satisfy clients, because you can guarantee quality. The more you reduce the price, the less quality you provide. Okay, you've saved some money to the client today, but he lost some in the future. And that's what I mean when I'm saying that the client needs to understand what they are losing. Hence, you cannot fix the pricing issue based on the past or on the present. You can only fix the pricing issue based on the future. If you are not able to calculate how much money the client is going to lose if he's using a cheaper solution in the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, whatever you want, in the majority of cases, you would never be able to fix this problem. If you don't know how to calculate that, find out. If you don't know how to do it, consult. If you don't know how to consult, ask your father-in-law. I don't know. You know what I mean? You need to find a solution to this. There is no escape. This is one of the parts where there is no escape. For the pricing, it's all about you knowing the difference. Okay, so we're 2,000, 20,000, 200,000 euro more expensive than our competition. However, this investment is affecting your next 5 years, 10 years of the company. Let's say it's solar, 12 years, 15 years. If there's 1% misalignments, miscalculation in how the cables or inverters are installed, or whatever else you want to say, and the average price for these years is this on purchasing, or on the expense on the electricity, you are losing X amount of money. And this X amount of money would usually be much higher than the difference that we have right now in our quote. And that's why we are more expensive, because we want to guarantee that you don't have that issue and that you will not be losing money. So If you're taking and considering this as an investment, you should definitely work with us. Now, however, if you're just looking at it as an expense or a budget, I thoroughly advise you to just stop for a second, rethink, consult, ask me questions. Let's see if this is the best solution, because maybe the money is not really the problem. Maybe it's just that you're seeing the whole installment as an expense. It's not an investment to you. So when you go that route, and I'm giving you this just as a really quick example. A lot of, by the way, usually whenever I'm doing such meetings with clients or videos, sometimes I receive questions and the person would just catch one of the words and ask or say, yeah, but if this, but if that. Look, especially if you're working B2B, your sales cycle is 3-6 months, right? Something like that. It depends. Even if it's residential or B2C, there's still multiple conversations with the client to make sure that we understand the clients. So for me to be able to give you this information, I cannot just role play right now 12, 24 total hours of work. I can just give you some examples. So don't catch or don't hang me or hook me off of just one of my phrases. This is just an example of what you can say. Now, this is about the pricing. There's a couple of other, by the way, methodologies that you can use. There's 3 main ones that I teach, maybe 4, depending on the situation. This is one of those and is the most basic, the most elementary one that is also really effective. And this is not going to fix every single deal for you. This is not going to fix every single client. This is not going to fix fully 100% of the business. If you're expecting to find a solution where you have, as I said in the beginning, 20% conversion right now and it goes to 80, you must be insane. This is not going to happen. The whole idea behind you changing and improving and being more flexible in how you talk, especially about pricing, is to win that one more client during the month. Those 2, those 3, those 5 more clients during the month, to increase a little bit your revenue, to increase the connections, and then you would see how the ball starts rolling. And hopefully you're good enough and you have good enough service to also get more referrals like this. So if you're just trying to, what I'm trying to explain to you is, if you're trying to balance out and sync the price with every single client that you're engaging, so these guys want cheap, I'm going to give them cheap. These ones want some discounts, I'm going to give them discounts. These ones are okay with higher. Like, what kind of a company are you? Are you a high quality company or a cheap company? Are you a reseller or an installer? Are you some kind of a service provider or a high quality service provider, or just customer service? You know what I mean? Stick to what your idea with the company was. If you want to be high quality service provider, stick to that and work with those clients. I promise you, you would have much more profit like this, and also a much bigger backbone, stronger background, and the clients would appreciate you a lot, because your way of working is the same as your mentality, and clients see that and also they receive it. So the second you start adjusting constantly the pricing, it just shows me that, first of all, the client understands that you're here for money. You're not here to provide them with high enough quality solution. And the second thing is, they also know that you don't have any, I would say, strong foundations. You're just here to get something done. You're gonna make some money for a couple of years, but at the end of the day, if that's your goal, props to you. Okay, good, you made some business. But if you want to actually dominate the market and grow and start beating your competition and actually become a name in your sector, then you should stick to your guts and you should stick to what you're doing, and you need to explain why exactly your price is this, and don't back down. In some cases, by the way, for myself, just to prove what we do, for instance, our sales training is quite expensive, more expensive than other companies, and we never reduce the price. But if I see that the company is open-minded enough, and this is not every company, maybe 1 out of 50, 1 out of 30, let's say, if they're good enough and the sales manager is nice enough to be transparent with me on what the problem is, I would provide them with a free, let's say 3 or 4 hour training for free on my back. No payment, no nothing, no obligation, just for me to show them what we do, and also for them to see if they are willing to engage with, our pricing and with the quality that we bring. and it works. Like they pay us after that. But the whole idea is really not for it to work, but for me to give them the chance to understand what we do. At the end of the day, the price was not reduced, and we all got the results higher, and also actually with the majority of those companies we're working to this day. Now, the difference between us and the competition. In the majority of cases, as I said, I don't know, on the 10-minute mark, I really don't see in the beginning any reason for the client to address the competition before we get to a serious discussion. If a client, a lead, he's a prospect, this is our first 10-minute phone call or first online meeting or face-to-face, and he starts explaining how much better the competition is in some aspect, or that they are giving something more, that's fully my fault, because I did not manage to build respect with this client. I did not manage. If the client builds respect with you and he likes you and he sees your company because of how I present as a professional company, he would start selling himself on what the competition said and explaining to himself in his head why you are different. And I'm sure that you have done that as well. I'm going to repeat that. If the client likes you enough, and I'm talking about the beginning of the communications, the first or the second talk or meeting. If the client likes you enough and he builds respect with you and a good enough bond, if he sees discrepancies in what the competition has said to what you have said, he would start selling himself, at least at that point, and pitching himself for you and your service. He would basically start making compromises already with his head. Now, if it's at the end, where let's imagine that you're really good, and as I said, he already likes you, now we're talking about signing a contract, payment, duration, time frame. Now, hopefully, you're good enough for them to be honest, or maybe you can ask a couple of nice and opening questions, and he can tell you, yeah, look, here they had this, they had that, they have an insurance on XYZ. I really want to work with you, but can you please describe why they have it and you don't? You see how that sounds? Like that's respect out. Like the client wants to work with you, but at the end of the day, let's say he's a business owner, he needs to make a good enough decision for his company or even for his house. Well, that's where you start moving into, and that's where, when you have high quality service, you can maybe then actually use some of the features and the differences and maybe like an investment plan. Anything else that the client might pop up with, one of those I already explained with the pricing. There's definitely a huge talk there. I don't want to make this that long. Anything else would usually stem from a lack of respect. And if you're not usually demanding respect with the clients, you need to work with someone on this. You need to, even if you're I train so many teams, and in some cases, if it's a smaller team and it's a startup, let's say 1-year-old startup, they usually say, hey, yeah, okay, this and this and that is good, but when Ivan or whoever, or when John goes into the meeting and he speaks with the owner, I see that he doesn't have my energy, that he's just like a bit of a rookie. He says it nicely, tone, everything, but he's green, right? First of all, that's good. It means you can have a loyal, amazing sales leader in the future if you know how to work with them. Second thing is you need to stimulate them to feel, as I said, that they're the owner of the pipeline, not you. You're not the owner. They need to be the owner, and you're there to support. If you don't have those two things, a single person, instead of fixing that in a span of 2 or 3 months, because they can continue like this for 2 or 3 years or more. I have seen it. Please don't do that. So this comes from how the leadership stimulates the person to feel in their own skin with the clients. You should not be babysitting them. You should not be taking bigger deals from them. You should not be leading the owners with them. There's a lot of points. Referrals and leads, let's just keep it short. Leads, I'm not even going to go into it. I have questions there, from those companies. They had questions about the leads. There's one thing that I'm going to mention on how you can evaluate the quality of your service based on that. But beforehand, on referrals, a lot of companies give bonuses for referrals. They ask politely. They go through maybe some kind of a whole structure process. I don't know what it is for referrals. I know sometimes it works, other times it doesn't. First point, as I said already, satisfaction of the client is number one. If the client is not satisfied, or you think that you half-assed the job, or they just purchased because of the price, you would probably not be getting a referral, or you might get a pretty bad referral. So remove those issues first before asking. Second thing that you need to ask is, I'm not going to go, we have a whole script on this, by the way, that I teach people because it's pretty simple, but I'm not going to go through it here. But at the end of the day, just understand that you need to ask for a referral just as an assistance from the client, just as a quick kind of friendly help up. Do you have anybody whom I can talk with? I just want to maybe make sure that I limit them, or save them some hassle from the future. There's potential risks in this and this and that. If they're interested in this area, hopefully I can protect them from those. There's specific questions and ways to say it that it's almost impossible for the person on the other side to not give you information if they have a contact like this. Now, if they don't, that's fine. Usually you should ask 2 times maybe minimum, but make sure to not give out bonuses and credits and I don't know what for referrals, at least in the beginning. It shows a lack of respect, and it would be really difficult. It would be really, my camera turned off. It would be really difficult for you to build a brand and to build credibility if you're giving out money for referrals to clients that are obviously satisfied with you. That's not the idea. Really, it doesn't. Maybe to some people it sounds crazy, but it doesn't work. You would not be getting the same amount of referrals as when you're getting them just on building kind of interconnections, support, providing info to those referrals, promising you're going to treat them the same way you treat the clients, and all of those things. Because the clients are scared that you're going to go and start closing like a maniac, like the wolf on Wall Street, their friends or their colleague. That's the fear. It's not money or your service or whatever. It's that you're going to go there, and if you are not professional enough or your service is crap, that you're just going to kind of mess up also the relationship between your client and the referral. And you should not be doing that. So the leads, I have questions. I have a lot of questions about leads. No time to talk about marketing, but I can tell you how you can always make sure, and companies know this and they don't do it. The best way to evaluate a need on the market for your service, product, solution, whatever you want to call it, is to do cold outreach together with engaging campaigns. I know it sounds pretty simple, yet nobody does it. You get 1 or 2 people to do cold outreach in a specific niche in an industry. And by niche, I don't mean, we work with startups and they get funding, and usually they go out and they say, well, our industry and target, our industry has 1 billion market cap and this and this and that. And if we get 1%, we would have X amount of money and we're millionaires. If you are talking about that you're going to be getting 1 or 2% out of a market and you're going to be making 10 or 100 million, you have not done any research and you don't know what you're doing. Getting a proper niche in a market is toning it down so much and targeting it so much down to the problem that you're fixing, that you are able to, hopefully, if you have good enough service, own 20 to 30, in some cases even 60% of the market. That's how small of a market you need to target. And when you target that with cold calling, which you would usually use, you can Google these platforms now, I'm not going to explain, Sales Navigator, Zoom Info, Apollo, okay? And you get contacts from there. The first thing that happens is you will realize how open the industry is to, negotiations with new businesses or new vendors. This, by the way, includes even countries. Different countries have different cultures for this stuff. If it works, it works. In many cases, it's not going to work that well. You would have some deals, but it's probably not going to be the numbers that you need. However, you would start getting more and more objections or issues or questions that direct your service and product in some kind of a goal or target that now you can pinpoint into an engagement campaign, which would usually be a webinar, some kind of a networking event, some kind of a Q&A segment or something that you can do online. For that, you're going to invite all of those companies that you already targeted, plus others from the same niche, and you would address the problem that you already have a solution for, plus the feedback that you got from the cold calling, which would be kind of connected to questions and solutions. And when you do that, and you basically sync, the results from the cold calling and these engagement campaigns, which usually would take about 6 months or more, basically startups do it as an R&D. That's when you can actually guarantee and make sure, even in front of yourself, that you have a high quality product. Because I'm telling you, there's so many companies, including mine, that constantly have to be flexible, improve the solution, do something new on the market, grow, because the market is evolving, companies are evolving, the clients are evolving, and that's, by the way, the best thing out there. If we stop moving, we're already dead. Even if you're just a business and not an individual. So I hope that the video was useful enough. I actually can talk all day about this topic. I guess this kind of was almost as a first meeting with the clients that I would usually have, about 60 minutes. And, I was just, I'm sorry that there was no structure, but if you have questions, it's best to contact me on the email that you would find in the description or here. And on this email, again, if you have a specific question towards how you can hire the best guys out there, I'm just going to send you a PDF to help you out with this. It has a structure, where, how to find it, the best questions to set up in every single phone call, how to, for sure, guaranteed find the red flags. There's specific questions that you ask on each interview that are able to provide you with signals about red flags for this person. And then from that point on, because this is your first point here, hiring the people, you can start doing all the rest that I gave you. And if you just take a small portion of the video that I just made and that you listened, and if you really listened up to here, you're amazing. For you, not for me. I'm not even, these videos are not for me. I'm not making money out of them or anything. I'm not this channel has one video on a full moon and it's not monetized or anything. It's just, I like to share. If you just took a small portion out of this video and you expanded it, something that you liked, into your company, and you started looking with your team leadership or maybe some consultant into those points and details, you would have fundamental changes in the results that you have in a positive way. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have all the success in your life, in your business, or whatever you're focused on, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a nice one.
On our own, get you like a pro, we bring the heat. Close the deal so sweet, can't be beat. Mechanic solutions, we the top tier. Every obstacle, we overcome a flare. No time for resting, we don't sleep. We hustle hard, so our pockets deep.